something I have been mentioning in my videos this year in 2019 is that I've got my 20th high school reunion coming up in July. And what's funny is I actually forgot back in May, because now we're in July, back in May, that's the month I graduated high school. So if I'd have thought about it, I would have done this video like, okay, 20 years ago today, I graduated high school. And some of you are watching right now and you just graduated high school and I'm exactly 20 years older than you. Actually though, when all that was going on, that was the month that I got my Jeep. So, okay, that makes sense now why I was distracted enough to not even think about, hey, I graduated 20 years ago. But more important to me is my 20th high school reunion coming up in July. I'm very excited about that. But it's funny, but what was I doing 20 years ago right now? I just want to make this video to capture the moment because I remember what I was doing 20 years ago. You know, it was the summer in between me graduating high school and me moving off to college. And I worked at Hardee's, which depending on which side of the United States, that may translate to Carl's Jr. It's the same place, but here in the East, in the Southeast where I live, it's called Hardee's. But out west where my wife's from, it's Carl's Jr. Same exact place. But that's where I worked. The summer after I graduated high school in '99, I was the cashier there at Hardee's in Fort Payne, Alabama, where I'm from. There's actually two Hardee's there, but I worked in one of those. And I worked the morning shift and I took people's breakfast orders. And so, you know, something Hardee's has always been really good at is their breakfast. I mean, I'm not here to say anything bad about them in general, but specifically, if you're going to go to a fast food joint to get a good biscuit or a good sandwich for breakfast, you'd want to go to Hardee's. And that's where I worked. So people put in their orders. And, you know, where I'm from, there's a lot of people working in mills, like hosiery mills and that sort of thing. So they would come and get their, you know, chicken egg biscuit or whatever on their way to work. And, you know, just for hours, I'm just doing all this. It was funny though, because I would get like, was it 70% off? So during my 30-minute break, I would get this like Frisco breakfast sandwich, which I want to say it was basically like a hamburger with like a bunch of cheese. It was just a bunch of meat and cheese that was toasted, and it was awesome. And I would drink that every day. I basically would get the free soda, and basically I would just get all the free milkshakes I wanted, because that was something I did as a cashier. I would make the milkshakes because the machine was right there. So just all I could consume milkshakes. I mean, but I had just turned 18. My birthday's in April. So I had just turned 18. You know, my metabolism still could handle anything at that point. And, but yeah, that's what I did that summer. And another thing I did that summer is I got a new car for college. It was a 94 Oldsmobile Cutlass. And that's what I drove all through college. And then at the end of the summer, I started college, you know, and actually I think it wasn't until September that the school started. So ultimately that would lead me into getting my English degree and ultimately lead me into having a career in HR, recruiting specifically. But that's what I was doing 20 years ago right now. And some people are like, well, doesn't that make you feel old that you graduated 20 years ago? And that people watching your videos, some of them are still in high school, but some of them were you 20 years ago. That's crazy. Like the equivalent of this would be like if when I turned 18 in '99 in that summer, if someone was talking about them graduating high school 20 years before that in '79, like that would be really, really crazy if I heard that. That seems like so ancient ago. But for me, 1999, good year. So it's now at the end of this month. I will have my 20th high school reunion. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this going into it. Here's what I care about. What I'm most interested about as I catch up with people. Some of whom I may not have seen in 20 years. I mean, I wasn't around for my 5th because I was overseas in Thailand, but I went to the 10th and 15th and 20th, haven't I? So some people I haven't seen since high school, but what I want to know is what they're doing for a living. Because by now, age 38, it's confirmed what we're going to be doing basically for a living for the rest of our lives. For the most part, by 38, you figured out what you're going to do with your life. So whereas the last reunion is more about marriage and kids, the last couple of reunions, this isn't about that. This is about your identity as far as your career and what you spend your time doing to provide for your family. What do you do for a living? That's what I want to ask people. What's funny is I don't even care about talking about myself. I don't care about that. I'm like, hey, I'm Nick Shell. Look how, no. I'm like, let me be like under the radar. I just want to be there. I want to catch up with these people because like to me, that's the most important thing. It's interesting to figure out because when you're 18 and graduating high school, you don't know what you're going to do. You think you might know what you'll be doing with your life, but you don't know. And so now, again, imagine if you were 38. You're settled. You know, pretty much for the most part, if you're not married by 38, you may not be getting married. You know, a lot of things have already happened by age 38. It's not like the 10-year reunion. You 28, okay, there's still a lot of people that are not married, haven't really figured out what they're doing. But 38, this is like a wake-up call, like, okay, this is how my life turned out. And unless I make some drastic changes, this is the rest of my life. See, 38 is pretty much also the halfway point of your life. Assuming you live to be in your mid-70s, when you're 38 at your 20th high school reunion, that's pretty much halfway through your life if you live the average lifespan. So there you go. That's what I was doing 20 years ago, and this is the mindset I have going into my 20th high school reunion. By now, marriage and kids thing is figured out pretty much for most people who are going to go that route. And then our careers. What did you end up doing for a living? Because you're probably going to be doing it for the rest. Those are the questions I'm going to have for people just because I think it's interesting to learn that part of their identity which may not have been established before. You got comments? They belong right here.